Good morning, everybody. I'm having my vanilla coffee. I got some comments on that, some people didn't know that Holland was a coffee producer, but we were one of the first, of course, because we went into Asia with sailing ships, and at a certain point we were kicked out everywhere by the English and the Portuguese and the Spanish. I'm not sure who was there, but and we got our own army and conquered Indonesia, and that was a big land mass where we had cotton and tobacco and coffee and cocaine, all kinds of stuff that we grew there. Although I think cocaine also came from South America. We once owned a large part of the coast of Brazil, and on the top, of course, we still have Curacao. We don't really have it, and we used to have Suriname. We used to have New York, and we sold it, I think, for not very much to Peter Stuyvesant, or he kicked us out. I think that was the story. Too bad. We're just not that much of a fighter. We're more like traders. Not traitors, traders. Anyway, there's a slight difference. But Julian Assange is of course seeking political asylum in the embassy of, I believe, Ecuador, and he's probably in London. I'm sorry, I didn't do much research on it. I just saw his invitation and I saw the announcement that he was actually doing that. I think it's extremely wise because he's basically a target of the U.S. Simply for messing up their plans. That's just something to get pissed about and hate somebody's guts and try to kill him. I think that's enough these days for the army, because in the U.S. there's really not much. Let's say, delicacy or detail about it. If you're an enemy of the U.S. and you truly mess things up, and of course they did, because you saw the other people commenting on his interviews, saying that basically he opened the eyes of many Pakistani, which of course made the plans of U.S. more difficult in Pakistan, and he opened lots of other people's eyes. He also, he showed me. Or caused me to learn about Shell's operation in Nigeria, which I don't really like because they simply control that country. And there's many other aspects of it. Now there's two problems that Julian Assange has. Let's say one is that U.S. Has said that it can kill its enemies at home and abroad without any basically care. It's something that you can do. It's not something that is hard to avoid. But they openly announced it that they will do that. So if they really hate him enough, and if he has something up his sleeve, and if he's going to threaten the banks anymore, then of course, there's a very bad outcome possible for Julian Assange. That's not. I don't desire that, because he has been trying to be with and in agreement with most or the majority of people around the world through the use of legal means, which means that you always go seek the thing that people agree on, that it's fair. But fairness, of course, fairness has nothing to do with the world. Ask any Iraqi, ask any Palestinian, ask anybody that has now been thrown out of their houses because for some reason the house prices plummeted in the U.S. and they're accused of having a ninja loan with no contract and still kicked out of the house, even though there's no proof that they own it or they have to pay for it or anything like that. You've got all these hounds being set up on normal people simply because fairness is not protected in the U.S. But as a country, that simply doesn't work, because if you then end up in some kind of conversation where you make a mistake, then you're suddenly screwed. That's not how it works. You have to have force to enforce what you do. Anyway, I have to keep this video short, of course, again, but I invite everybody that looks like Julian Assange to join a conference in London pretty soon, in a few weeks, and if this video gets any response, then of course I'll make another one. And I think that's the way to do it, because you don't get him out of the embassy without being intercepted if you don't have lots of people looking like him walking around, and that are simply citizens of maybe different countries. I think Norway or Sweden. Hopefully tall blonde guys. Maybe he dyes his hair black, so then you have tall black haired guys. he has to do something to get out of that embassy and get out of the UK. Of course, London is highly monitored, lots of cameras there. But it's almost a challenge. It's a challenge of the world to get him out of London and to where he wants to go, because that's the legal procedure. That's the just, that's the fair, let's say, course of events. So he basically has to be jet out of the UK on a private jet owned by, for instance, Sir Richard Branson. Why? Well, because Sir Richard Branson is somebody that doesn't like people being screwed over and being taken, let's say, taken out of the context of being a normal human citizen. And I think that it's important to remember that the motivation behind his actions, behind Julian Assange's actions, were to bring peace by being transparent, by creating transparency against the will of those that don't like it. Which simply I have to stop after a few seconds, but his motivation is you work or you cooperate to achieve what you want, but you don't steal, and you don't lie. I think that's a very good principle. I think that principle could create a world that is very attractive and very desirable, and would certainly do away with fossil fuel domination and the bank fraud. So if you want to help Julian Assange and you look like him, make plans to go to the embassy and let's see if this resonates, and we can get him in let's say a cloud of Julian Assanges where nobody can find the real one anymore, and he can simply go where he likes, which is what he should be able to do anyway.